Welcome everybody to this episode of Whether or Not. This week is jam-packed. We'll have nature news stories on trout fishing season. Brian has our forecast for the weekend ahead, and Allie has a feature on spring and sustainability. All that and much, much more coming up. Don't go anywhere. Whether or Not starts right now. Welcome back, everybody. I am your host, Drew Narsutis.
And I'm your forecaster, Brian Cizek.
Well, Brian, it sure was a beautiful week here in Happy Valley with lots of high temperatures and sunshine to be found.
It really was, Drew. Earlier in the week, it felt more like June than it did April for much of the state. Actually, on Tuesday, we didn't quite see it here, but central and eastern parts of the state saw record-breaking temperatures, some getting into the mid-80s.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot. Well, hopefully that trend will not be continuing into this weekend because nobody wants melted chocolate on Easter.
That's true. Well, we are seeing temperatures bouncing back up a little bit for the weekend, and tune into my forecast to find out if any rain will affect those Easter egg hunts.
Sounds like a great idea. Let's go into nature in the news. The corn has grown only half its normal height on Yansushin Ranch in the hills of Inner Mongolia this year, as a swath of Mongolia and northern China suffers its worst drought in 60 years. It's gotten so bad in some cities that water from puddles are extracted for use in reservoirs. Already, Chinese farmers have lost an estimated $1.2 billion this year due to drought, but farmers aren't the only ones suffering. Over 500 million Chinese live in areas surrounded by water-gulping industries such as coal and manufacturing. Also, these industries give off widespread chemical runoff and other pollutants that have contaminated nearly 60% of the country's groundwater. A possible fix for this water scarcity issue is to make a canal that, when completed, will move trillions of gallons of water from rivers of China's south to its dry north. However, many water experts remain skeptical about the project, with some warning it could wreak havoc on the southern aquifers and watersheds.
Ice scientists experienced their worst nightmare when some of their precious ice cores melted in a freezer that malfunctioned. The ice cores are 1,000-year-old cylinders of ice extracted from locations across the Canadian Arctic and stored in a lab at the University of Alberta in Edmonton. Scientists used the air bubbles frozen in the cores to study the ancient atmosphere and how atmospheric gases shaped Earth's climate history. Last week, the temperature of a storage freezer rose to about 100 degrees after a part of the cooling system failed. This partially or fully melted 180 ice cores. Luckily, only 12% of the total ice core collection was lost, and the oldest cores in the collection were in a different freezer. The team of researchers hope to go back to the Arctic to replace some of the samples and are taking steps to make sure they have a better alarm system for the freezers.
This week, the O'Briens announced that they would donate their bug collection, one of the world's largest private holdings, to Arizona State University. In 2 rooms of Charles and Louis O'Brien's modest home in Tucson, Arizona, more than 1 million insects rest in glass tombs and homemade shelving. They come from every continent and every corner of the world, gathered over nearly 6 decades. Today, the collection is estimated at over $10 million and nearly doubles the university's current holdings. Every specimen of the collection is worth $500 to $300 depending on its rarity, and some 1,000 of O'Brien's insects are possibly new to science. The collection will help the scientists piece together a large branch of insect family tree, as well as be a resource for scientists who study natural controls on the environment. Charles explains that their technique is quite simple. They rent a car and go out into a bush or a jungle or wherever to collect. Sometimes they drive down the highway from some town in search of a place that might be worth stopping and spend several hours collecting there. Most trips include around 500 separate stops, mostly at night to accommodate nocturnal creepy crawlers.
Trout fishermen rejoice. The first day of trout season begins this Saturday, April 15th at 8 a.m. for 49 counties in Pennsylvania, including right here in Center County. These are counties that were not included in a regional opening day on April 1st for 18 other counties. The Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission initiated the regional plan several years ago in response to waters and weather that warm earlier in the southeastern and south central areas of the state. The commission stocks 3 million trout across the state each year that average 11 inches in length. Each day of the regular trout season, which runs through Labor Day, an angler may keep a daily limit of 5 trout, each at least 7 inches long. If you would like to participate in the excitement, remember that all anglers over 16 must have a fishing license. Licenses can be purchased at more than 900 licensing agents statewide or online at www.gonefishingpa.com. Hello, I am Brian Cizek with your Central Pennsylvania forecast, and it sure felt like spring the last week, and I am happy to say that those spring conditions are here to stay. Now let's jump right into the maps for Friday. This high pressure system dominating the weather for the area, bringing a mix in clouds and sun to the region and feeling quite seasonable out there for your Friday. And then as we move into Saturday, that high will move off the coast a little bit, and as I zoom out, we'll see this low up in the upper Midwest that will bring this associated warm front approaching our region, and we'll have this warmer air overriding this cooler air ahead of the front, bringing some scattered showers to our region on Saturday. And then for Sunday, I know a lot of you have those Easter Sunday plans, maybe some Easter egg hunts, and we'll have this warm southerly flow coming into our region. We are well in the warm sector of this low, but we will see this cold front approaching, and that will bring some associated thunderstorms and rain later in the day on Sunday. But let's dig right into the details. Friday, 63 degrees, mix of clouds and sun, just about the average for this time of year. And then Friday night, not getting too cold out, 47 degrees, but those clouds will increase throughout the evening. And then for Saturday, quite warm, 70 degrees out, but we'll see some scattered showers associated with that warm front coming into the region. And then for Sunday, 74 degrees, very warm, double digits above the average for this time of year, but we'll see some afternoon thunderstorms and rain moving into the region. So if you do have those Easter egg hunt plans, make sure you try to get it in earlier in the day rather than later. Now, speaking of spring, why don't we go out to Debicki, who has a feature on sustainability in this season.
You may be asking, how do spring and sustainability connect? Well, springtime brings variability when it comes to weather conditions. One day it could be warm and raining, and on rare occasion the next snowing and freezing. The spring season also brings about something other than just blossoming of flowers. One university uses the springtime to push their sustainability initiative. Dartmouth College in Hanover, New Hampshire, has put together a program that coordinates events all about sustainability. It is referred to as the Dartmouth Sustainability Project. The Sustainability Office appoints a full roster of interns, eco-reps, and senior sustainability consultants that organize speakers and events to advance sustainability on the campus and beyond. There are several events held this April that encompass what it means to maintain a balance within the planet. Some of the things they include are speakers like Michael Pollan and Dan Riker that are experts in the field. Also, they have events that incorporate the community's farm, like the Veggie Prescription Program and individual field research opportunities. Dartmouth is one of many universities striving for better use of the geosphere. But also, one of our very own professors, Dr. Raymond Najar, also is an advocate for sustainability. He is a professor at the Penn State University and a longtime renewable resource advocate. He believes incorporating renewable resources will help the cause.
And these impacts we're just seeing the beginning of it, and it's going to get much more severe if we don't find ways to replace those. It's very rapidly growing, and some countries have a large fraction of their energy production from renewable sources. So in other words, the new electricity that was generated in 2015, new power plants and whatnot, about 60% of that came from renewable sources, wind and solar, and maybe about 30% or so came from natural gas, and very little new electricity now is being generated from coal, which I think is a good thing because coal has a lot of very negative environmental impacts.
Renewable energy is just one way you can help the environment within the springtime. But Junebug.com also put out some more tips that you can keep in mind that will help sustainability while going into the spring season. The first tip starts within your spring cleaning activities. This year, consider opting for recycled papers and green cleaning supplies while you start on your spring cleaning. Avoid things that contain phosphates and bleach or even chlorine, as they are extremely toxic to the environment. Try replacing these cleaners with vegetable-based ones or even vinegar. Another one would be your exercise. Try exercising outside instead of hitting the gym or using machines at home. If you take your daily workout outside, you could save energy as well as money by unplugging your at-home machines. Next would be washing your clothes in cold water. Up to 90% of energy consumed by washing machines can be attributed solely to the heating of water. Even though most loads can run with cold water, many people opt for warm water when possible. Washing most of your clothes in cold water and whenever possible hanging dry your clothes can drastically reduce the energy consumption. Last but not least, you can try to control your thermostat. Heating and air conditioning consume a huge amount of energy and drive up the cost of your energy bills. If you adjust your room temperatures and turn off the heater or air conditioning while you're away during the day, you can save energy. The sustainability movement is vastly growing. Colleges like Dartmouth are providing a solution to spreading a fun and easy way to ending the crisis. For Whether or Not, I'm Debicki.
Hello, I am back for your extended forecast and looking ahead to next week. Temperatures dropping back down to closer to seasonable for this time of year. But first, let's look at a weekend recap. For Friday, 63 degrees under partly cloudy skies. And then looking like a warm and wet weekend, getting up to 70 on Saturday, but some scattered showers in the region. And then Sunday, even warmer, 74 degrees, but we'll see some late afternoon thunderstorms associated with the passage of a cold front through our region. And that cold front will bring cooler conditions to our area, much closer to average for this time of year, which is right around 60 degrees. And Monday and Tuesday, much of the same, highs in the low 60s with a mix of clouds and sun. And then our first chance for some precipitation on Wednesday and Thursday, as we see some possible thunderstorms on Wednesday, some scattered showers on Thursday, and then Friday drying out with temperatures remaining in the 60s.
Thank you for that forecast, Brian. Thankfully, it seems like winter is on its way out, and we'll have no more cold spells here in central Pennsylvania anytime soon.
Well, Drew, never say never, but I would tend to agree with you. It appears that we've crossed that threshold and winter is out and spring is here for the long haul.
Well, that's some good news. And why don't we talk about our Weather Whiz quiz question? Earlier in the show, we asked, at which phase of the moon does the pink moon appear? Is it A, waxing crescent, B, new, C, full, or D, waning crescent? Well, if you guessed C, you are correct. The pink moon, also known as the seed moon and sprouting grass moon, are named after pink flowers and which are formed in the ground that are known as wild phlox flowers, and which bloom in early spring and become widespread across the U.S. and Canada in this time of year.
Now, Drew, sorry to disappoint you, but the moon doesn't actually appear pink, but it reached its fullest phase when it shined in the night sky on the East Coast back on April 11th.
There you go. Well, anyway, unfortunately, that is all the time we have for this show. Thank you for joining us this week. I am your host, Drew Narsutis.
And I'm your forecaster, Brian Cizek.
Have a great weekend, everybody.